Yes, my name is Kenneth Loch of the TENNISSANCE method. Just want to get into what I'm calling the genius of tennis. I feel that I need to do a video on this. I've been, putting some X's or tweets out there, and I'm pushing the idea that me being the genius of tennis. So I think maybe I should, just do a new video talking about it. Let me see, defining the genius. Who I'm claiming to be is actually the genius. So the idea is that is in better position to define what a genius is than the genius himself. So, yeah, then just, the idea that I can define it, and then I am the definition, say, of it. And once we have that, then the question ultimately, I'm here to actually teach people how to become geniuses. So the idea is that who becomes my students and becomes geniuses. Let's see, the genius, when it comes to intelligence, the idea that's understood in relation to the Enlightenment, say, to the point of, say, realization, and the idea that ultimately what I was able to come to is, say, the realization, or say the knowledge that actually has not, in a sense, been known. And that actually who I represent is actually, I am the knowledge. And so the idea is that, again, students who learn how to become a genius will use me as, in a sense, a living example of what they also want to, say, become and accomplish. Let's see, when it comes to intelligence, who I represent is the first genius to be intelligent and also coordinated. So the idea of the mind-body connection. I'm claiming to have atoned for the gap, say. So the idea of a mind-body atonement, and that's ultimately the symbol, say, I use for the TENNISSANCE method, which is the cross with the circle. So the idea of the atonement is actually basically mind, say, body. And then the idea is how I was able to get into that circle, say, and become atoned. So I am atoned. And the idea of my practice that I have now, it's based on me being atoned. Let's see, and then the idea of how that represents, say, an exercise, ultimately a mind-body exercise. And to say the benefits of exercise, what can be understood now once we realize and understand tennis as being an exercise, then we can understand the nature of developing the whole body and ultimately becoming ambidextrous. So the idea of physical coordination to ultimately be physically coordinated, it turns out you have to become ambidextrous. So it turns out, I'm the first, say genius to become intelligent, and then also coordinated, and the idea that how it required me to be intelligent to become it coordinated, and the idea of that coordination in relation to my intelligence, and the idea is that turns out that let's see, it kind of gets interesting now, because it turns out that who I represent is actually the first genius who can kind of make this knowledge known. So it turns out that pretty much all knowledge that we've had, when it comes to, like, say, epistemology and all that, the philosophy of knowledge, the idea that all we've had is just, say, knowledge, which is, say, not integrated and completely from kind of like the top down. And the idea there is that me being a genius, it turns out that I represent the first genius to not be, say, an anti-genius. So the nature of somebody who is, say, an anti-genius, and the idea that, again, how it's like all-encompassing. So the idea of an anti-genius is actually just say, well, ultimately they're going to be anti-education and an anti-teacher, anti-exercise, anti-intelligent, anti-coordination, anti-ambidextrous. So it's just kind of interesting to understand why tennis players have only developed one arm and play a sport. It's pretty much based on the fact that it's just it's actually can be understood as say a social or a cultural retardation that has gone through generations. And I'm actually here to stop that trend, say. Yeah, so the idea that even like right now, it turns out that tennis players haven't really realized what they're doing. It's kind of biblically, Jesus saying, God forgive them, they know not what they do. Ultimately, tennis players are actually, from my perspective, are in that state where they have zero, in a sense, they have knowledge of what they're doing. They're playing a sport, but what they don't have is they don't have knowledge in relation to the exercise. Zero, and the result of that, they end up ultimately are left in the dark, say. And then the idea that who I represent is, say, a teacher who is going to teach, in a sense, the truth, and how that's in a sense, a light. It's better than the dark. So it's just being in the light is better than being in the dark. Let me see if there's anything else I can get into, and let's see. So the idea of the Renaissance, in this Renaissance, it's or there's gonna be like a reformation of education. And ultimately, this is where tennis players will begin to become educated, actually begin to increase in relation to them being, in a sense, genius-like. So what they're going to learn is they're going to learn, say, the likeness of a genius, and then also understand the likeness of the anti-genius. It's really, really important to understand both sides of the coin. Let me just figure that's enough here. Let me just shut it down there. Just wanted to do this, and hope you got something from it. Thank you.